Assalamu alaikum, good evening ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our program Global Economy here on KSA2. A new episode that will tackle a very important topic. This is your host Ahmed Al-Tahini, welcoming you to a new episode of this program. I hope that you will enjoy watching our program. Tonight we're going to talk about the change that has taken place recently here in our economy or in our society, and that is focusing on a certain business or a certain type of shops, the lingerie shops, and encouraging women to work exclusively there in lingerie shops. And also we will talk about Saudi businesswomen, Saudi working women. We'll talk about all the issues and the topics surrounding this particular area. Very interesting developments have taken place in the last few years as far as women working and contributing to the economy. Also, we'll touch on the professional Saudi businesswomen who are, some of them are actually members of the board of directors in certain companies, some successful businesswomen who have done a great job in certain business fields. With me in the studio is Mr. Talat Hafiz, Media and Banking Awareness Committee Secretary General. Would like to welcome him to the program.
Well, thank you, Ahmed, for having me in the program, and we hope that it's going to be a successful program tonight. Talking about a very important subject.
The topic is very hot and very interesting, and it's very relevant to what's going on these days. Mr. Talat, tell us generally about the development. Take us to some historic background on women working in Saudi Arabia.
Let's first of all agree on certain standards. Women contribute, women is 50%, almost 50%, 49.1% of the total structure, if you will, of the Saudi society. We're talking about 18 million, plus we're talking about 9.6 almost million women, which is again 50%. This is one. Second, if you look at the basic ruling of the government, it talks about citizen, and it talks about citizen, it addresses both women and men. It does not differentiate between who's the citizen. It means by saying so, it means that the woman and the man has an equal right to everything, you name it. That's applicable, of course, to the male and applicable to the female, meaning that equal footing of education, health, healthcare, if you will, workforce, etc. But of course, in the context, if you will, of protecting the woman identity, this is very understood, Islamic identity and what have you. If you look back four and a half decades or 4 decades, we used to in the education part of the women, it was some of the families were against having a female, if you will, to be educated in schools. Now things has changed a lot significantly. Now we have Professor Khawla Al-Krai, we have Professor Hayat Sindi, and so on and so forth, prominent ladies, Saudis ladies, that we have them that really astonished not only the Saudis alone, but also astonished worldwide in their contribution, whether being to medicine or other fields of life.
Some of them actually have taken jobs in UNESCO.
Well, Thuraya Abeid, Dr. Thuraya Abeid is a very well-known character in the UN, and it's a Saudi lady that really, having a very, advanced and very important, significant in the UN, for example. Until recently, we had like 84% of our female workforce are involved in the educational or education side, if you will, of the kingdom. About 13 to 14% in the healthcare system. But 84% and 30 point something or 14%, while the other the other sectors of the economy is being almost abandoned. They were not really engaged or involved in that regard in females to be participant. While they are very much applicable, like what you just have mentioned, the cosmetic part and the lingerie part, this is very applicable to private, I think, and it's much better to be seen a woman selling to a woman rather than a man selling to a woman, or vice versa in that regard. So I think when you go back to the the decree, if you will, or to the law 120, I think that's have paved the way to give more involvement and more emphasis to females, if you will, in the labor force. As you mentioned, this is a very sensitive area for females, whether being the lingerie or in that regard, the cosmetic. So I think having women in that context, I think that will help to overall, in fact, fight or battle the unemployment rate, which indeed today it's very high. We're talking about 29.6 or 28.9%, which is 3 times what's the unemployment rate in the male section. So of course, definitely we cannot live for long for 28%, while universities every year, whatever, 150 or so, they have been graduated from the female side. They don't find jobs. They graduated with an excellent degrees, you name it, whether being law degree or medical degree or management or economics or accountant or whatever. So definitely they need to be definitely absorbed and to be employed in a certain sector of the economy.
Excellent. I have a number of interesting reports in front of me. I'll start with this that was published in January 1st, 2012, or published actually, on January 1st. And it talks about over 28,000 Saudi women who have come forward to take up jobs at shops selling lingerie and women's accessories throughout the kingdom, according to a senior official at the Ministry of Labor.
Indeed.
Now, that is a big number. 28,000 is definitely a huge number, and according to Fahad Al-Thaqafi, Assistant Under Secretary for Development, Assistant Under Secretary for Development at the Ministry, he said that these women would replace salesmen at 7,353 lingerie and ladies' makeup shops across the kingdom. The Ministry has set Wednesday, January 4th, as the deadline to implement its directive to replace salesmen with Saudi saleswomen at these shops. That's according to Al-Iqtisadiyya Business Daily. Now, this is very interesting. How's it going? Has it been implemented according to plan?
Well, I think it's, I'm monitoring really what's happening, and I think it is very successful so far. Bearing in mind, we just started, a couple of weeks back. The intention, of course, we're talking about roughly between 7,500 or so stores who are really involved in lingerie and also in cosmetic. And that will employ, as you just mentioned rightly so, probably around 39,000 or so female. Of course,
it says 28,000.
28,000. But the more challenging and the more optimistic view, if we manage to employ females in a larger scale, if you will, not only cosmetic, not only lingerie, but also in other sort of functions in the retail business. That number could easily jump within, say, 5 to 10 years from today to 400,000 female to be employed in the market. If we take it all in all, and deploy all the related female businesses. Don't forget that a lot of the Ministry of Labor has really worked very hard to open up more and more for certain jobs that really fit and suit more the female, except sort of like 24 kind of jobs that they're not really applicable because they're hardship kind of jobs are not applicable for female. So today we're talking about 20,000 in due course, in, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years from today, until things really implemented fully. But again, if you want to enlarge the piece of cake on the retail business, I think easily that number could reach in a couple of years, 5 to 10 years, multifold or the figure that we're talking about today. So I think it's successful. Now the interesting part of it, I do understand that some of the merchants, they were a little bit hesitant at the beginning to apply or deploy or agree, if you will, or comply with such directive. But now this merchant, they came back and supporting the whole process because they found there is an increase, an increment to their annual sale or to the monthly sales, to the daily sales, simply because now the woman or the lady finds a very suitable environment to buy and sell very sensitive, as I mentioned, very sensitive sort of goods or services that's only applicable to a lady. And only a lady could understand a lady.
Exactly.
I mean, imagine you or me selling cosmetic to a lady or to a female. I don't understand very much in cosmetics.
Exactly.
But I think when a female addresses a female needs and demands, I think this is more justifiable.
Absolutely.
I think
logical.
Yeah.
It's only logical that a lady sells to a lady
Indeed,
cosmetics and accessories.
indeed. And it has been said that since the application or since the deploy or the implementing such directive, if you will, the sales of the cosmetic and lingerie, they have jumped up about 6 to 8 to 10% in volume wise. So this really has encouraged others who were reluctant to begin with now to reconsider really seriously to start employing female in such functions.
Excellent. Now the stereotype, the concept outside the kingdom, in certain countries, in the West or other countries, Saudi women are perceived as isolated from the world of business. This is according to a report here from the Monitor magazine, their electronic version. They're saying that that Saudi women are often looked at or perceived as isolated from business or the world of business, with little economic influence. That's how people perceive them. Because they're virtually absent from the body of international literature on female entrepreneurship in the Middle East and North Africa. Because of that, it is difficult to say how many women own businesses in Saudi Arabia. But the evidence that we see suggests, according to them, that they account for a small but growing share of total business activity. Of course, people tend to be stereotypical because of lack of data and information and enough explanation on what's going on in the kingdom, actually, in regards to business women contributing and working in the business. So what they did a study, and the study revealed female business owners in Saudi Arabia, as elsewhere in the world, to be positive, oriented toward the future, and committed to finding ways around the obstacles they face. Now, what challenges face women working in Saudi Arabia, and specifically Saudi business women, and what has the government done to facilitate, their involvement in the business?
Well, as you rightly, as you rightly has mentioned, that we have a cultural issue for sure. That yet still some do believe that women, their place is home. Is definitely not to go to work, definitely not to participate with males in whatever kind of activities that has, even if it is not a male and a female working together, this is not the issue, but just purely women are to sit home and this is the proper place. Okay, that's a cultural issue that has been carried decades and decades and decades all over. However, I agree with you that yet we need to see more of involvement in the business sense from the female point of view.
Right.
Because yet, if you look at the investment, whether FDI, foreign, direct investment or non-direct investment, you would find maybe 3% at the maximum, the participation or the participant or the participating female in the overall investment activity in the kingdom. Even if you look at the commercial registration, we're talking about today, 801 million CR or commercial registration. I would believe not even more than 10 to 15% out of the total registration or commercial registration belong to females. And probably so, this 18-20%, it's a female as a front. Because it's owned by her husband or by her brother, whatever, for some reasons.
Or male relative.
Or male relative, for some reason he cannot be, owning that CR. Right. But again, things are really progressing now. As you rightly so has mentioned, we have a couple of excellent ladies, they're member of the Chamber of Commerce. We have a very classical example in Jeddah, where you have 3 or 4 females. Are member of the Dr. Aisha Natto, others a member of that, that Chamber of Commerce, active members. We have in the Eastern Province too. We have a couple of good ladies are member of the Eastern Province Chamber of Commerce board. We hope to see it rolling to other Chamber of Commerce around the kingdom. The Custodian of Tutu Holy Mosque recent announcement that the Saudi female will be engaged in the upcoming Majlis al-Shura or the Shura Council. Again, that's a step forward in my opinion, and a big step forward to have our ladies in sort of a parliament, if you like, set up, which is the Majlis al-Shura equivalent to the again to the ministry.
While observing the conservative nature of the community,
municipality councils,
and respecting the
municipality councils, and also have the voting power.
Yes.
I think this is a step forward. But if you want me to be very frank with you, the way that the foreigners, the stereotype, again I go back to the stereotype, because women, she's not driving, this is an issue for them. Women in Saudi, they're not advanced because they don't drive a car. You know, that like if she drives a car, she is now there.
Modernized and civilized.
She is the 21st century.
All the rights.
And this is not true. This is not true. You know, I believe for women to drive, I believe there are certain more important things to be addressed and to be tackled, to pave the way before the driving. And the driving issue, it's a kind of controversial issue because it's a cultural issue rather than being related to religion. Or
eventually it will happen when the community or when the Saudi society is ready to digest the idea and live with it,
and
cope with it.
I'm sure if you look at the traffic jam today we're living in, whether being in the major city, whether being in Riyadh and Jeddah, I like to be driven and you like to be driven. Just to relax and drive
about the
and do some business during the drive.
Getting from one point to the another.
Yeah, so I think this is the sort of stereotype, this is the issue that's reflecting negatively on the Saudi one. But look at now, as you mentioned, Dr. Thuraya Abeid, Khawla Al-Kray', Hayat Sindi, and others whom really very prominent ladies, successful in in medicine, in medical field, in education, and other things. So I think you know we are on the right track. We need to work a little bit hard because yet there are certain sectors of the economy or the business it is not yet really tackled as it should be.
Right. There are some interesting results of this study that I mentioned earlier. They say that the results include that there are three main challenges to businesswomen's aspirations and to the future growth of female-led Saudi businesses. Gender-specific obstacles in the regulatory environment, limited access to and use of formal capital and financing mechanisms, and the need for increased integration of sophisticated marketing and technology tools into business operations. Very interesting points, I think.
Yes and no. You know, maybe we're talking about what you know, probably 5-10 years back. Yes, I would tend to agree 100% of what you have been.
This was in 2008, 2010.
Yeah.
So
Again, but that's an opinion that I should respect, of course. But if you look now to the government, you know, I think the government has did a lot, have did a lot, in fact, for ladies, and as you mentioned rightly, so to pave the way for them to be engaged more and more into the economy and more into the business. If you look to the power of attorney, for example, until recently, female businesswomen, they cannot do much without having what do you call and a power of attorney and wakil shar'i and so on. So now they can do without wakil shar'i, unless the business dictate to be mingled with males. That's a different issue. And that wakil shar'i or the what they want to either call it the empowered or the guard, whatever, only deals in the aspect where there is a male interaction. Otherwise, she can pursue her business totally by herself when it's a female to female business.
Right.
So now, but if it's a purely female business, purely dealing with female, she doesn't need anybody to be interfere. So I think this is a step forward. If you look at now to the commercial registration, if you look now to the direct investment, I think it's getting more and more. Now the obstacle that's been mentioned, that women they cannot access banks, they cannot access you know, finance from this is totally not true, because we have very, very successful businesswomen whom they have their own companies. They run their own companies, and they very much welcomed and financed by Saudi banks.
And Saudi banks have highly professional,
in fact, we have
well-equipped and well-prepared ladies branches.
We have like 20% of the total branch network. Now we're talking about more than 1,600 branches. Around 20% or so is dedicated for women branches, equipped, of course, with all the facilities and professional bankers, female bankers, working in these branches.
Right.
I don't think we are opening this branch for nothing. We're opening this branch for females, and we're making money out of it.
And definitely there's a lot of
Sure.
dealing going on
Indeed.
between the bank
By all
and the
means.
ladies, the businesswomen, and even regular women who are not into business.
Yes.
The socio-economic dynamics and practices are quite interesting to talk about.
Indeed.
But let's watch this report together, ladies and gentlemen, and we will continue our discussion.
Good evening, dear viewers. We're having here Mr. Robert. Mr. Robert, what do you think about the role of Saudi female in the economic here, in Saudi economic?
Hi. Yes, I've been working here for almost a year now, and very rarely do I see any ladies in the female economy here. Mainly I'm working in construction in the King Abdullah Financial District. As I say, very rarely do we see any ladies in the construction business.
So still, they are not participating in a big major role in the economy. You see that, huh?
In the area of work which I'm involved in, which is construction, project management, we see virtually zero ladies in our business.
Other than that, do you see any female working in maybe financial business, marketing, HR, any other field of economic? Do you see any female participating from your point of view?
Are we talking about expat ladies here? Or, yes, one or two here and there. I saw a nurse the other day that I met socially, and that was very nice. But that's very rare, I have to say. In almost a year, probably only a handful of ladies have I seen working here in Riyadh.
Thanks, Mr. Robert. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Good evening, dear viewers. We're having here Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed, we're going to ask you about the role of the female in the Saudi economy. How do you see it?
Okay. In fact, in the last 10 years, you can see a strong role of the woman in the industry of Saudi Arabia. For example, in the companies, you can find some ladies working in special departments like HR. You can find nowadays in women in the HR department. And in the market, when you go to the market, malls, factories, there's some department especially for women. So you can, especially the Saudi culture, they are sometimes closed for the women. For some type of industry or some types of business, it's good or better to be women handle all of this business. So in this side, some family here maybe feel safe to send her wife, her daughter, her family, ladies, to this economy or to these factories because they know that there's a woman inside, then that she can help the woman or her wife or his daughter. That's it.
So, what about the now malls? Markets and malls, stores. Those specialized in women or materials for women. They are gonna be female only working there. Do you recommend this decision?
In fact, it's recommended and not recommended. It depends on the type of the business. For example, for a woman clothes or something like that, it's better to be a woman inside. But for different thing like food or something like this, it's not a good idea to be. Yes, it's for some. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you.
You are welcome. Most welcome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Global Economy. With me in the studio is Mr. Talat Hafiz, the Media and Banking Awareness Committee Secretary General. I'd like to welcome him again to the program.
Thank you for having me, Ahmed.
We will be joined right now, actually, by Mrs. Huda Abdurrahman Al-Juraisi, President of the National Committee for Women at the Council of Saudi Chambers. Mrs. Al-Juraisi, thank you very much for being with us.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to participate in your program.
Excellent. Can you tell us about this National Committee for Women at the Council of Saudi Chambers? What kind of activities does it do? What does it aim to do in order to help Saudi business women?
Well, this committee is concerned of finding the best ways to open and widen the workforce in the kingdom, at the same time to help businesswomen in resolving their problems or whatever obstacles they can face. So we're working on both sides, solving both sides of problems.
Excellent. In your opinion, how much have we achieved in order to facilitate, doing business for Saudi women? Is it easy for them? Are there any serious challenges or obstacles that need to be addressed and taken care of?
Well, with the latest decrees and decisions that have been issued by the government, we have been able to better work with the ministers, especially the Minister of Labor and Minister of Commerce. We have worked with them for now one year, trying to inform them about the obstacles that women are facing, and at the same time looking at both sides. It helps them to find the best solutions, like whatever the workforce in the side of women problems they can face, like work hours, transportation, how we can find solutions in part-time jobs, also in telework jobs. And now we're working on a way of working on the industry, how we can find women investing in industries at the same time, even if businessmen are working are investing in industries, how we can have some part of their fields taken by women.
Interesting. Do you think that the fields of industries or business that are open to Saudi women are still limited, or are they growing to become more open to Saudi women?
Well, of course they're limited. In Riyadh we have visited 14 industries who are already have started with opening the possibilities for women to work with them, and we have studied what would be their obstacles, how we can resolve these obstacles, and we're working with the Ministry of Labor to resolve these problems. At the same time, with the Ministry of Commerce in a way how to facilitate the investment in that part.
What have you achieved so far? Can you give us some clear accomplishments in this regard? What do you think are the most important accomplishments that you, as a president of the National Committee for Women at the Council of Saudi Chambers, that you have achieved yourself with the team members that you work with?
Well, we have, if you remember, we had the decree numbered 120. We had studied it, all the 9 items of this decree, and at the same time we have informed all ministries concerned what are the obstacles and what our ideas how to solve these problems. And we have seen that the government, even in ministries, have taken these points into consideration, and they have changed. And you have another decree now, the A121, and they have focused on some problems to be solved and how it can be solved, because some of the items in the first decree, the 120, it was not clear in some part of how it should be implemented. And in the 121, it's clearer how to implement and what are the parts that we should focus on. So these things that help us in informing the ministers that we're talking about both sides, the working force, women working force, and the businesswomen who would be investing, and how we can manage to make them have the courage to start to invest with the monies that we have and the amount that liquidity we have in the banks.
Do you focus on businesswomen specifically who aim to have their own projects and their own businesses, be it small or medium or large businesses, or do you include every woman, all the women who would like to work and be professional in their lives?
Every woman, because we're working on all kinds of work that they can start with, either through telework, part-time. Also, if they would be entrepreneurs who would start a new business, and also businesses who are already established, how we can widen their investment in having other activities in their investments. So we're working on all fields.
Definitely, the fact that there are about 28,000 Saudi women who have replaced men in sales jobs, that's definitely a breakthrough for you.
Yes, of course, and we're still facing problems with solving some of the problems that they are facing because of the transportation issue. That we're looking how we can solve this issue by either having public transportation or having initiatives from businessmen or women investing in that field, so we can facilitate that particular part of transportation that is a big issue for us for the time being.
Excellent. My last question to you, Mrs. Huda Al-Juraithi. About 20% of shops in Mecca that used to specialize in women's products have shifted gears by changing their product lines. That's according to an official at the city's Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And this was in the beginning of this year, the Hijri year. This was on the 7th of December 2011. So is this a troubling thing to you, that some shops have actually shifted to male related products? Why are they doing that? Is there lack of professional business or working Saudi women in the market? What do we need to do about that?
Yeah, of course. If we're talking about the women workforce, we don't have enough experienced women working to be able to take these jobs. Okay. At the same time, it's.
Can I stop you there? Can I stop you there? Okay. So the royal order was very encouraging to you, but is there any way that the council itself can work with the relevant agencies to train and get these women ready to work in these jobs?
Yeah, of course, we're doing it. We're doing it by having these women trained. But
Excellent.
Sometimes, business men or women, they think that it's better to try something else, to go to something else. Those are, I think, the business men who are not patient enough to wait to have the experienced one, or to have women get the experience through them. Okay, but we are really working with the Ministry of Labor and with other concerned ministries to train these women, and I'm sure in a couple of years we will have the workforce, especially in the private sector, changed completely.
So the needs are quite big, the aspirations are very high, and the reality, suggests and clearly says that we don't have enough fully equipped and well-trained working women. This is definitely an investment opportunity for women to invest in training, future working women?
Of course. And I am, as a businesswoman, I'm investing in training. And this is what I have seen, that training is a big opportunity for investment. But at the same time, we have to work on something that Mr. Talat Hafez talked about, the culture issue. That because sometimes we try to find these jobs for women, and their parents stop them from taking these jobs because of the culture issue.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Huda Abdurrahman Al-Juraisi, President of the National Committee for Women at the Council of Saudi Chambers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Interesting points raised by Mrs. Al-Juraisi. I think it is good that they're working on the training part and preparation and equipping Saudi women to take up jobs that are maybe quite new to them. Do we have enough institutions or institutes that can prepare them? Who's doing that? How many do we need? I mean, 28,000, this is a huge number.
Indeed.
And the coming numbers will be even maybe bigger because you will have more vacant jobs if you ban men or stop men from working in these areas. What is your comment on this?
Yeah, but Ministry of Labour, before they started this female lingerie, or in that regard the cosmetic, they engage some of the males who they will be targeted to work in such industry into training, sort of a training. Yes, maybe the training is not too long, maybe it takes a 3-day or a 1 week or 2 weeks training, but again, don't forget the OJT, the on-job training also is an equal important. But again, I do agree, and I do 100% agree with Ms. Huda that we need some certain skills. Selling skills is not an easy job.
Definitely.
How to sell, how to market, how to entertain your customers, whether before the sale transaction, sell, or after sale transaction. But again, everything, a startup is a very difficult, to start business, to start anything in life is a bit difficult. But along the way, I think this thing will be, taken care of. And I think also, by the time that we, mature enough, if you will, in that particular segment, look at the banks. I'm not, because I'm a banker. You can look at a female banker, maybe 15 years back, and look to the same female banker today. I mean, you can see the advancement.
Much more sophisticated, professional, and able to do the job.
Not in branch management only, but in IT. In legal department,
financial specialties,
in treasury business, which is again the most difficult business that you can think of.
What is the percentage of Saudi women working in banking?
We have around 12% of the total universe. We have more than 3,700 female working in the sector itself, and this
3,000?
3,700, around 3,700. Okay. The total workforce around 37,000, of which 32,000 Saudis being males and females. But again, the total percent of the female to the whole universe is around 11 to 12%. But you can see from, if you take, for example, from 2001 to 2011 to last year, the number of female working in the Saudi banks has doubled, in fact. For around 1,700, we're talking about 3,700. And it's almost 100% Saudization. We have a couple of females, expat, but the majority is female. Look at the media. Look at the media, how really our sisters has really developed.
Exactly.
In all aspects of the media, if you will, whether being newspaper in that regard, whether being TV stations, whether being electronic media, radio stations. So, I can see the progress. So
they've been in the media for a long time.
A long time, way back.
I've contributed a great deal
since the start of the Saudi TV,
exactly.
More than 30 years now.
You see, some jobs, they lend themselves to the Saudi culture.
Yes.
I mean, it's easy for us to employ women in them.
Yes.
Teaching,
yes.
Maybe media,
yes.
and tailoring, working as tailors or working as in the cosmetics business. I mean, there are the nature of these jobs is very congruent with
Yes.
the Saudi culture,
Yes,
which is
we,
very
we have an excellent medical, we have excellent doctors, female doctors,
True.
and we have mentioned some of the names like Professor Khawla Kareya, and we mentioned in that regard Hayat Sindi, and so on and so forth. So I don't believe there is very much different between the intelligence, level of intelligence, if you will, between the brain, the thought process between males and females. And I believe in certain, as you rightly so mentioned, in certain functions, I think a female is much better than a male.
much
Especially
more
in-
successful. Yes.
Successful in sort of type of work, very detailed. Huh? It requires patient. We're not patient males. I do understand. I do appreciate that. But a detailed sort of a work, a very work that need to be patient and so on and so forth. I think a female could be very successful in that type of jobs.
Excellent. The what are the economic and social gains of encouraging or changing the male jobs into female jobs, especially in the cosmetics business?
We go back to the formula. I just mentioned at the beginning of the program, the compose of 50% of the total society of the Saudis. So by default, and they go to an excellent universities, they're well trained. So we cannot just give them all of that education and then ask them to sit home. Now, I do appreciate some of them, you need to sit home, but that's a different story.
Right.
But if a working woman, she's eligible and she wants to work and she can balance between her work and her home, I mean, that's her own decision. We cannot dictate, our decision, over their decision.
Or she could work from home.
Or for more, for work from home.
I mean, there are certain services. I mean, a woman who's a highly qualified translator.
Yes.
She can translate
can do it from home. Yeah,
and
yeah.
send her work
Yes.
to her clients from home.
Yeah.
And a highly skilled
Yeah.
graphics designer,
Yeah.
for example, she can do all the designs on the computer
Or a
from
cook.
home and send
She
them.
can cook
Or a
sometimes
cook.
as a business.
Exactly.
Huh?
And
Sweets
there
and
are clear examples
Yes.
now, and we can see it, and I've seen
Yes.
a lot. And they have the best food, much
Yes.
better than many of the
Many of the restaurants
that we
yeah.
see on
and
the
cheaper,
streets.
by the way,
And less expensive.
and quality-wise, and
Definitely.
cleaner, maybe.
Definitely.
So maybe this is, to get some over of the obstacle that Sister Huda has mentioned about is maybe, to engage more in what we call based technology or based knowledge economy. Because based knowledge economy does not require, muscles.
The knowledge-based
It requires,
economy.
it requires your thinking, your thoughts. That's another thing.
Sure.
Distance working, as you mentioned. We need to put some sort of law or direction, whatever, to organize such working distance, for working from distance, like from home. for example.
Telesales.
Yeah, telesales.
telesales are
Today we have,
very
the-
conducive to-
Indeed, the technology today, the grid, the upgrading of technology, they can work from home in a sort of, technological issues.
Exactly.
That doesn't require them to even come to work or even mix with men.
Exactly.
And then
you could have IT support
Indeed.
centers, call centers,
Call centers.
fully
yes.
occupied and operated by Saudi women.
If you look at Hafiz program, I'm sure you know Hafiz.
Sure.
Hafiz program, they have around 600 people working for them in their different call centers, nationwide. We could deploy women in that call center. She's in a private, private place. All what she does is she entertains calls, calls from different callers who they are, inquiring about certain issues regarding Hafiz or regarding netaqat in that regard, or taqat or otherwise.
And this goes very well with the culture. There's
Indeed.
no contradiction and there's no problem there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a report that our colleagues prepared for you. So let's watch it together.
Good evening, Mr. Hussein. We're going to ask you about the role of the female or woman in the Saudi economy. How do you see it?
Actually, I have been here for the last 35 years, and I have seen the 70s when I came here. The situation of the females was very difficult, and it's very rare to see ladies in the street. It's very rare to see ladies working. It's very rare to see ladies in many functions or many working areas. Now, even myself, I was working in a bank, you know, and it was very difficult even to hire ladies at that time. But now, after all these years, I found that ladies are working. Actually, about 10% of the working force in our bank are ladies. And the progress of the ladies in Saudi Arabia is going very fast, increasing and encouraging. And even now, it was very difficult in the past to meet with ladies or to talk to ladies. Now, in my working area, I always sit with ladies, talk to ladies, discuss with ladies. And I notice even the participation of the ladies. I'm sorry to say that even though I'm a man or a male, but I have seen their participation is very encouraging, very interesting, very promising, and other than that, you know, their productivity is very high. Even the management of our organization are in the process of hiring ladies, and that's one. Secondly, I have seen ladies talking freely. In the past, it was very difficult for ladies to express their opinions and all, and that's all I can say. But I have seen a lot of progress because I have been here many years, and as you can see, I have my wife are walking the streets, and she's also participating, and she's working, and that's what I can say. Very good.
What about the decision that malls and stores specialized for women materials or female materials, cosmetics, makeups, clothes, there is a decision that Saudi female will work there, especially female. What do you think about this decision?
Actually, this is a very good decision, but it's not sufficient. Yeah, it's not sufficient because it's not just to have how many shops do we have. I have seen in the last statistic about 60% of the working force are ladies, and now even I have seen the statistic that about 60 or 70%, half is paying for 60 to 70% for the ladies, which is they are burden for the society. We have seen a lot of expats working in these areas, while the Saudi ladies can easily replace those people, and I have seen even there are some ladies materials, like clothes and many, not only that part, many parts can be replaced by the females, They are very, very, very important workforces sitting at homes, and that this is a very good idea, and it's not sufficient. The government should think to give more than this, and by that you'll see that the participation of the ladies is very high. And thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Arif. We're going to ask you about the role of Saudi women or the female in the Saudi economy. How do you see it?
I think it is start to be productive more than before. As we can see now in the market, we can see females working the shops, yes, companies, some hospitals, more than before.
It's better now, progressing.
Yes, much better. Yes.
What about the new decision that the malls, stores in the malls specialized in female clothes and cosmetics and such things that related to women? How do you see this decision?
I think it's much better than before to be more enforceable, because our families, as you know, some stuff should work with the females only. I think it is very good.
You recommend it?
I recommend it very much, yes.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Arif.
Welcome, Mr.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed watching the report. We have been talking about the Saudi women or Saudi businesswomen, and also we've been talking about replacing men with women in Saudi, in the Saudi market, especially in the cosmetics business. With me in the studio is Mr. Talat Hafiz, Media and Banking Awareness Committee Secretary General. And I'd like to ask you, Mr. Talat, about the investment environment for Saudi women. How conducive is it, and how attractive is it for Saudi women? Of course, Mrs. Huda Juraisi spoke about a few challenges and obstacles, and that they're working with the Ministry of Labor on overcoming these obstacles. And definitely, still I think the Saudi society is looked at as a male-dominated society, as many other societies. But But of course, as some of the reports have suggested, the share of Saudi women being businesswomen or just working women is growing, that share. But in your opinion, the investment environment for women in Saudi Arabia, how tempting is it? How attractive is it?
I believe it is very attractive, it is very tempting, because again we go back to certain businesses whom we believe are applicable more to female rather than males, and also requires female skill rather than male skill. Now the complaints, I believe, of the female businesswomen in the kingdom is they're looking to open up for certain businesses that they are for the time being monopolized, if you will, by male. So they need a little bit of a share. Not 100%, but at least equal footing, if you will, 50-50.
Right.
Now, some of the females are looking for a female, if you will, industrial cities, i.e., only for females, equipped with all the facilities applicable for them to practice their business. I believe Dr. Tawfiq Al-Rabi'a, who is the secretary of the minister of Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and before he was, a modern executive, if you will, CEO, I think he has this sort of a vision. So maybe because now he's the minister, he probably could deal with such requirement of the female. But I believe also the females should help themselves by supporting themselves. One of an executive lady is telling me sometimes they conduct some certain courses, and invite a couple of females. They don't attend. They don't attend such a very important training courses for them, how to groom them, if you will, to be a businesswoman, a future, be successful.
They don't attend.
They don't attend. They don't pay attention. The Chamber of Commerce sometimes, whether being in Riyadh or otherwise, or the Chamber of Commerce Council, they do some training, but they don't see the number really that's encouraging for them to continue such training. Now, this is an investment. This is a cost to each and every Chamber of Commerce. So I think females should really help themselves, like how the men or the males helping themselves to support. So I believe they need some sort of support among themselves. I believe.
Why do you think? So you think the attendance isn't very encouraging?
It's not very encouraging. I think.
And why do you think that's the case?
I don't know. Now
they're not so keen on attending, or maybe they did not know about it.
No,
more marketing.
I
need to reach out to all.
No, maybe they are keen. Definitely they are keen to attend. But maybe I would not saying loudness, but maybe it's something, I don't know. They need to really
too busy
focus.
to attend.
No, this is not an excuse. This is an excuse. If somebody offers you a course, an interesting course for a 3-day or 5-day course,
but there must be a reason why they're not attending. I mean,
I
if somebody offers you, is it a free course or do you have to pay?
It is usually even 1,500 riyals for a very interesting course, a 5-day course that shows you ABC investment, practices, if you will, how to be a successful entrepreneur, whether being males and females. I think this is an interesting course to definitely as to enlarge, if you will, the working force or the domain for me. As you mentioned, distance working, or as you mentioned, technology or knowledge-based economies, to open up for the knowledge-based economy.
My last question to you, we're coming to the end of our episode tonight. Have we looked at the women who are interested in working or having their little project with the support in small villages and towns? I mean, are we just looking at big cities, or does this cover all?
No, it covers all, because we have the productive families. I mean, I'm talking about the banking sector and others,
and other
STC in that regard,
yes.
and other companies like Safola,
they support the Saudi Tourism Commission,
of course, and Abdul Latif Jameel Babrizg, of course.
Definitely,
they are supporting what's been known, or as the productive families. Usually, the productive families in sort of areas, remote areas or what have you, is to groom such families, and some of them they tend to be a very successful business
and help them establish an income,
indeed,
a monthly, yearly income.
In fact, some of them, they were under that social welfare.
Yes,
they went out of it now, and they stopped paying zakat.
Independent. They stop
depend on
their own.
They used to take
financial
zakah,
income from their
but
business.
now they are out of that thing
Excellent.
and they're paying zakah.
That's very good news. We'll end it with that note, very positive note. Mr. Talat Hafid, Media and Banking Awareness Committee Secretary General, thank you very much.
Well, thank
being
you
with
for
us.
having me, Mr.
And many thanks to Mrs. Huda Al-Jraisi, President of the National Committee for Women at the Council of Saudi Chambers, for also being with us on the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our program. Good night.